the stock market, meaning companies' new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving.
The show goes on.
Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now. Welcome, my degenerates! The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania. This is the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, from Bitcoin and darknets to political betting, and of course, focused right here, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. I'm your host, Brian Micon, financial genius, Bitcoin class of 2011, and a poker player. Joining me are my fellow degens, Brett Ritchie and Tony the producer, filling in for Matt Glantz today. Brett Ritchie had a blitz pick, and Tony the producer needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Market Mania! Tony, let's get right into it. Lock and loaded as a host and producer today. The markets are batshit crazy today. Brett Ritchie, Sea of Red, what do you got?
Well, not a great day, right? I mean, a lot of earnings came out. We said it was going to be a big night and their market was going to move one way or the other. And between some of these earnings kind of coming in a little bit short of where people hoped, and certainly between a lot of the fears of this election coming up, I think a lot of people just don't want to be long heading into this election. So they're sort of heading for the hills temporarily. But I actually think this is like a bit too extreme of a drop. I don't think that there's really much of a chance of a contested election, which is the only scenario to me in which the markets are really going to suffer sort of for a long time after the election. I think whoever wins, as long as someone does win relatively quickly, it will be good for the election. Tony, what do you think over there?
Well, I have to agree with you. As long as there is a declared winner, the markets will be fine because the stimulus will flow. And, markets are buoyant based on that. I think this drop is more based around fears around COVID, which there's just a lot of uncertainty there. They're looking at potentially more shutdowns in Europe and China. And there is a possibility that while there's an election, there won't be a resolution. And I think markets are trying to price that in today as well. So it's getting pretty crazy out there.
It's getting crazy, but I think it's just an overreaction, in my opinion.
Good day for the VIX.
You got the socialistic forces of public funds flowing into the markets. There's the uncertainty around if Orange Hitler or creepy, sleepy vampire is going to win the election, and you get to bet on it, and all the companies in the world tell you every quarter how much they ran it up or not, or how they shot it off epically. And this is why we watch. Couple more days till the election. Only one trading day after this until the election. 2 trading days, I guess. Tuesday night, it all goes down. Markets in the red. Bitcoin not really moving 13.5 or so. Holy shit, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The Rust Belt repeat. Brett Ritchie.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on here?
Well, we covered Pennsylvania yesterday, and last election, as we all know, the Rust Belt was the key to Trump's victory, especially states like Michigan and Wisconsin, where Hillary pretty much took those states for granted, and Trump came in and won those states. What we've seen this year is Biden is putting a lot of effort into Michigan and Wisconsin, I think because they lost in such a dramatic fashion last time, seeing a lot of resources poured in there. Yesterday, Biden announced that he's also heading to Minnesota, which was supposed to be just like a pure blue state. It reminds me a little bit of when Hillary went to Michigan, like a little bit too late. And I wonder if I know Minnesota isn't the Rust Belt, but Michigan and Wisconsin are, and Minnesota's right there. Tony, you're up there in Fargo. Are you seeing anything about Minnesota being in play for Trump?
Absolutely. It may not be the Rust Belt, but it is the Iron Range, and that's that area in northern Minnesota that has a lot of unions, a lot of miners, a lot of people that just want their small town to stay normal. And when they look south to the largest city in Minnesota, Minneapolis, they see its downtown burning. We even had trouble just a few hours away here in laconic Fargo, North Dakota. Windows smashed, just rioting for that doesn't land well in the perception of your average voter. And this part of the state, people really just that's a thing. It's Minnesota nice, Fargo nice, and if you start smashing up nice people, they start voting against you. It's not going to end well. I think there's a real possibility for Minnesota to flip.
Yeah, and you
That's
see it in the betting
ridiculous.
odds.
Are you kidding me? Where's Matt Glantz here?
I know
Where's
this
Matt
is
Glantz with my polls? Where's that cute little hat and all those polls that he would bring up right now?
He'd be laughing at us. He's probably laughing.
He'd be laughing,
right
but
now.
plus 281 is pretty low. I mean, considering this was a state Hillary won, and I believe that Matt is convinced he's not going to win one Hillary state.
What's the real clear politics? Isn't he up 7 points there?
Something.
Like,
he's up a lot, but Biden is going to Minnesota. If his internals weren't struggling, he wouldn't be going there. I don't think.
I got a feeling that like that whole like pumped up 2016 Trump betting crowd, I think they're gonna learn a lesson in statistical analysis this time around. I really do. I think there's this great reckoning coming where Biden wins. And like everyone's cashing that Biden wins that minus 175 ticket. Like,
like it's easy to interpret data. The question is how robust, how good is the data that you're inputting into your model? In my opinion, this data is flawed. This using polling data as this supreme oracle to determine elections has been proven to be a faulty strategy. In this day and age, people are repeating the same mistake. Biden still could certainly win, but if you're just firing a ton of money based solely on polls, you are making a mistake.
I think if real clear politics is pretty close this time around, I think you have to kind of, at least come on the show and give a little kari.
I can just blame variance and just say I ran bad but played perfect, just like a true tout.
Hey, speaking of betting, guys.
Pardon me. This is retarded. All right. This is an org decided to come out of really nowhere and say that they will take 100 million worth of action on the election. And this is really crazy too, how it goes down. It looks like, what is it? It's a crazy shenanigans reverse market maker type of thing. So is that what it is here?
So Susquehanna, they have a trading desk for sports. They're on Betfair already. They have a partnership with Betfair. Susquehanna is this huge hedge fund. We actually know a fair amount of the people that work there. They love poker players in Susquehanna. And so they have this trading desk that has a partnership with Betfair. And Betfair is where you can place politics wagers. And so Susquehanna is basically saying we'll take up to 100 million from any fund that wants to bet on this election. And then we'll do it on Betfair. So it's happening on these licensed European platforms. And they're basically just market making it. You can take either side of it, and they're just making their vig and unwinding the position, I assume, other ways. But I think it's interesting, man. That's a lot of bet. I mean, 100 million per bet.
Now, do I get this right? This is for a hedge fund that thinks like if they think their positions get melted if Biden wins or something, so they want to hedge by like making.
I would imagine they're not going to be whoever wants to bet it. That might be one of the likelier candidates, but it also could be somebody that just thinks that Biden's going to win and they have the money to put in. I know a lot of people that are betting like 50% of their net worth on this election on Biden, which I think is insane.
That's batshit. That's just batshit.
I know 3 people doing that. So
we know an eclectic crowd. But yes, Tony, the producer, that's true.
Crazy.
The crowd that this guy runs with, yes, that's well within the range. It doesn't even shock me.
Yeah,
you boys need some nice friends. You're such nice boys. Why do you run with a crowd like that?
I moved away from them all. No, I had to get away from them.
I'll give them a little pat on the back after they lose and say, "You just got unlucky. You played it great."
I stake them now once in a while, but I mean that's that.
That
all
is
right.
Crazy.
So moving along, yes, you could get down 100 million out there. Haralabob, Timex, if you guys, really need more action or whatever, then you can now finally get the limits that you deserve. All right. This is one of the crazier stories of today, in a day full of crazy stories. Iran now requires the crypto miners to sell that shit directly to the central bank. Because as you know, Iran, cut off from the SWIFT system, has their own little Russia-Syria type of bank system out there. Can't wire to the Bank of New York. So, you can't move money to like all the, more civilized parts of the world that don't cut off the hands, or they allow gay people to exist. The civilized parts of the world. So not like Iran. So Iran now requires all the crypto miners, because they're always under these sanctions, and so then they want the hard cryptocurrency to be able to fund imports, so that they often need to write that wire. They want to import 2.3 million worth of aggregate, so you can grind that shit up into the uranium thing and make a bomb and pressure people in the geopolitical sphere. You need to pay them. So 2 million, and the boat doesn't go. So now they want the crypto so they can do that. Tony, this is kind of in your world of crazy, top level macro economics. What do you think about this move?
Well, it's rocket fuel for Bitcoin. And it also has geopolitical implications. You mentioned it there briefly, that they're doing this to get around the SWIFT monetary system. This is how Iran and countries like them are going to be able to interact with the world at large and not use the traditional finance system. So people that are afraid of Iran, they would see this and they would think, uh-oh, now Iran's got access to money. But Iran's got access to sound money. That means they're not going to go wasting it on fruitless wars, pointless pursuits. The beauty of sound money is that war is so difficult to do because you're spending real money on it. Nobody really wants to do that. I think this will actually clip Iran's teeth. It'll force them into a sound money regime. They might actually become an honest actor on the international stage. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe their women will actually be treated as full citizens too. You
Come
never
on.
know
No
what
one wants to see
economic
that.
freedom.
Come on.
You never know what economic freedom could bring.
You know what,
and
ladies?
gentlemen.
Get yourself a Bitcoin wallet. You don't ever have to listen to another man again.
I'll say this though. To me, this makes me bullish on Iran just in general. I think that I've said for a while, if I could invest money anywhere in the world, it would be in North Korea. I think they've sort of executed this playbook of getting this devastating weapon and then using it for leverage within the international scene really effectively. Say what you want, they're going to get a great deal whenever they come to the table to denuclearize. Iran is in a similar position. When you have nuclear technology, these countries around you that have these great economies they want to protect are going to give you a great deal. That's just the facts of the world. I think we're going to see Iran also here eventually getting a good deal.
I have this sayings that we're born into madness. And I mean, I'm right. But I would like to assume that it trends towards rationalism over time. And we'll see if that happens. I ran into Bitcoin. Let's go, baby. This is crazy. MicroStrategy, Square, and I ran. That's who's sailing it into Bitcoin right now. All right.
Time.
Yeah, I agree. That is rocket fuel. Bonds. Tony, do people still do bonds?
You know what? Bonds is so boring, and people just dry up the minute they hear the word. But bonds are about to get very exciting because you can't lose with bonds. It's free money. Boeing in the news again today. They just borrowed $5 billion to pay off the $3 billion they borrowed earlier in the year. So they basically used their Discover to pay off their MasterCard. But it doesn't matter because these bonds, these junk corporate bonds, these ones aren't quite junk yet, but it will be soon. And it doesn't matter because the Fed just buys up all this crap, and what that has driven is basically the larger picture, which I wanted to point out, of course, is that corporate America's debt load is near 10 trillion, and you've got derivatives built on top of derivatives on top of this 10 trillion, and it's all, not all of it's great debt, so this is going to be a fun toppling. I don't know, Brett, do you know much about bonds? And
Brett knows.
No.
It's basically like every company is actually one of those poker players. They're leveraged to the hill.
Yeah,
leveraged. That's what it is.
I know a little bit about Boeing, which I'm just not a fan of Boeing. I know Matt loves buying their stock. To me, it's just kind of bullshit that they just always get bailed out. The little guy gets screwed over, and it's like this too big to fail mentality that the U.S. government has, where they're just going to fund Boeing indefinitely. And I will say this, I've said it before, nobody is getting on that plane as long as they call it the MAX. They're changing that name before it flies. You can bet on that, maybe on Augur or somewhere else where you can create your own market. They're not naming that thing the MAX when it takes back into the skies.
That's right.
All right. The bond roulette wheel continues to spin, or the bond revolving door, Tony, will you accept that?
Yeah, it's a dynamo. It keeps making energy at least until the dollar fails. So Look,
Oh.
and if you want to be on the other side of that, I'm sorry to steal your transition here, but it transitions so beautifully. I just wanted to point out that our next topic is BlackRock, and the reason that Boeing is able to put out all these junk bonds and not care what happens to it is because BlackRock is the clearinghouse for any crap bond that the Fed is going to buy and bail out the economy. It's not technically legal for the Fed to buy corporate debt, but BlackRock set up a special purpose vehicle so that the Fed, through them as a clearinghouse, can buy all this bad debt. So if you as an investor don't buy Amazon, don't buy Microsoft, don't buy Boeing, don't buy 401ks, don't buy any of that crap, BlackRock owns it all. If you want to own an ETF on the entire freaking world, government pensions, Israeli pensions, corporate debt, government debt, BlackRock owns it all. And as the market goes, so goes BlackRock. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it too stupid to put all your eggs in this one basket to buy the whole shebang, or should a person diversify?
I think diversification is always good. And the game is rigged, which we all know. But yet again, it's just rigged. You're either on the inside or the outside. And if you're in the inside, you're going to get protection from the government. And so you see here, like federal pensions or whatever, like they're going to get those. That's like super, almost risk-free, right? The government's going to make sure that those federal pensions are going to survive. So,
Exactly.
I mean, BlackRock's a filthy company. We all know it. And I mean, I don't know. You can get better returns finding like bigger winners out there, but
they basically track the SPY perfectly. They track the S&P perfectly.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
But they also own all sorts of other assets that aren't the S&P. They own all this debt. They own international debt. They own the actual FANG stocks. This is a way to get exposure to just a huge.
This is like exposure to the people rigging the game, essentially.
Exactly.
So I think I wouldn't go all in on it, but if you're looking for something relatively safe, I think, right, it's a crooked house, and you're the croupier there with this. So get on it.
When Brett's telling you to sail it into BlackRock, that's time to put on the not investment advice, do your own research hat, because, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Market Mania pick of the day. We don't waste the time. We just get right into it here on Market Mania, sponsored by Blitz Pick. Brett Ritchie, what's your pick of the day?
My pick of the day is Twitter. Matt Glantz, I'm here to avenge your honor. Twitter's down 20% over their earnings. I'm sorry. This is a company that's been just screwing up right and left, in my opinion, and should be monetized. It should have a way bigger market cap than it currently has. And so this 20% dip, especially when everyone in the world is going to be on it on Tuesday, I think is a great time to buy back in Twitter.
All right, Tony the producer. Brett Ritchie's going with Twitter on the dump after earnings. What do you got for us today, my metal
BlackRock,
man?
baby. Buy and hold. And get rid of it right before the dollar collapses. But up until then, it's just a balloon ride. Just take it.
All right. Says they can't lose because it's a rigged game staked by the federal government. How can you run out of money? All right. And I'm going to just go with AMD. I got to play my Mama Sue, similar, just like Brett, on the dump here. They did something earnings, bought X-Links. That's 5G, baby. You know what that means. You're going to run it up over the next 3 to 4. AMD, I mean, they're making a run at Intel. They got the best chips. I don't know. It just seems like an easy one. You throw that in the long-term bag, and you just watch that growth stock still just has another couple hundred B to go. Might as well come along for the ride. Okay. Well, guess what? We thank everybody out there in the internet land for hanging with us on this October 30th, 2020. It's about to go down, as you know. Shit is on fire. Your auntie, she's arguing on the face space with your cousin that's like all woke, liberate the Palestinians and shit. And then you don't know what's going to happen in a couple days. But the words of Afro Man can bring us all a little bit of calm into these tough times. And I quote from his Fuck the Corporate World track. I'ma quit my job, go home, check on my girl. Fuck the corporate world. Smoke marijuana, drink malt liquor till you earl. Fuck the corporate world. Hop in the Cadillac and let the Daytonas twirl. Fuck the corporate world. If the cops get to tripping, might have to let the bullets hurl. Fuck the corporate world. Like and subscribe to Market Mania on YouTube and follow us on the Twitter at Market Mania Show. We'll see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, until next weekend, it's lights out.
Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl.
Switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury of however turning, we're how we're turning. Can't I lie like it's Mississippi burning? Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine it'll look the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now.